Tyberos the Red Wake has crossed the Rubicon Primaris. And if you listen to the way the Imperium talks about it, you would think this is just another routine upgrade. Another Space Marine chapter gaining stronger warriors in a galaxy that desperately needs them. But the Carcharodons Astra are not a routine chapter, and nothing about them has ever been routine. When a force like the Space Sharks becomes stronger, it usually means something in the regions they patrol has become worse. What you are about to hear is a forbidden Vox transmission from a warrior who claims to serve among them. In this recording, he speaks about his chapter's origins, the Red Tithe that sustains their fleets, and the rumors even Space Marines are discouraged from repeating. If this transmission is genuine, it suggests the Imperium may be preparing the Carcharodons for something far more dangerous than another frontier war. This is his confession.
Across the Imperium, the transformation into a Primaris Space Marine is described as an honor. Heroes are reforged, warriors are elevated, and the Emperor's angels of death become stronger in the image of the Primarch who created them. That is the story most citizens are given. Among the Carcharodons, however, we have served long enough to recognize the pattern behind such decisions. The Imperium does not strengthen something unless it believes that strength will soon be required. I will not give my name, because names are meant to endure, and warriors who speak openly about matters like this rarely expect to live long enough for theirs to matter. What I will say is that when Tyberos the Red Wake was lowered into the Rubicon, something shifted in the dark regions we patrol. Not just flesh, because flesh is trivial to beings like us, but something older and far more deliberate, like a key turning in a lock that had been waiting a very long time. To understand why that matters, you must first understand what the Imperium believes the Carcharodons are, and then consider the possibility that the truth is something very different.
According to Imperial records, the Carcharodons Astra are simply a fleet-based chapter of the Adeptus Astartes, tasked with patrolling the distant edges of Imperial territory. Unlike many chapters, we do not maintain a homeworld or a fortress monastery built into the surface of a sacred planet. Our entire existence is bound to the void, carried from system to system aboard warships that have hunted along the frontier for centuries. From the perspective of the Imperium, this arrangement is practical. When threats emerge in distant systems where Imperial authority is weak or non-existent, the Carcharodons can be dispatched quickly to resolve the problem before it grows into something larger. Our reputation reflects that purpose. We favor sudden, overwhelming assaults that end conflicts before they truly begin. In void combat, we close distance rapidly and strike with brutal efficiency, while planetary engagements usually end with shock deployments that leave enemies disoriented and unable to respond effectively. Those who encounter us rarely forget the experience. Our pale skin and black eyes give many the unsettling impression that we belong to the darkness between the stars more than the worlds we descend upon, and the predatory teeth common among our warriors have earned us the nickname most Imperial citizens know us by, the Space Sharks. Crude, perhaps, but not entirely inaccurate. The practice most closely associated with our chapter is something called the Red Tithe. When our fleets arrive at an Imperial world, we take the resources necessary to continue our patrols: weapons, equipment, supplies, and occasionally human recruits suitable for testing as potential Astartes. The Administratum describes this as a lawful tithe granted to a loyal chapter. The populations of those worlds often experience it less as a bureaucratic transaction and more as the sudden arrival of predators descending from deep water. Still, from the Imperium's perspective, the explanation remains simple. The Carcharodons are a brutal but effective chapter that hunts along the frontier and sustains itself through the Red Tithe. That story is accurate. It is simply incomplete. To understand what might be missing from that story, it helps to first understand the region we patrol. Most citizens of the Imperium imagine the galaxy as something clearly defined by the borders shown on Imperial star charts. Within those borders lie civilization, law, and the Emperor's light, while beyond them stretches little more than empty darkness. Those who have traveled through the regions we call the Outer Dark know that assumption is dangerously wrong. Beyond the frontier lie enormous tracts of space that the Imperium has never fully explored. Ancient ruins drift through forgotten systems, warp storms swallow entire sectors without warning, and signals occasionally emerge from stars that should have died millions of years ago. This is the ocean the Carcharodons hunt within, and once you understand that environment, the question of our origins becomes far more complicated. Among the Adeptus Astartes, lineage defines identity. Every chapter traces its gene seed back to one of the Primarchs, and those bloodlines are carefully recorded within Imperial archives. For the Carcharodons, however, the answer has never been entirely certain. Officially, we are listed as descendants of the Raven Guard, the sons of Corvus Corax. The resemblance is clear enough: pale features, dark eyes, and a preference for sudden strikes delivered before an enemy even realizes we are present.
Many within the Imperium accept that explanation without question. Within the fleet, however, other stories circulate quietly during the long journeys between patrol zones. Some brothers believe our ancestors were not merely Raven Guard successors, but warriors who were exiled during the earliest years of the Imperium and sent far beyond its borders with a simple directive: patrol the darkness and destroy whatever emerges from it. The Outer Dark became their battlefield. There are darker rumors as well. Some claim that fragments of something older exist within our gene seed, remnants of forces that Imperial history has deliberately erased. Stories occasionally surface linking the Carcharodons to forgotten experiments, abandoned crusades, or even the long-lost legions themselves. No Marine could prove such things, and most would consider attempting to do so extremely unwise. Still, when a chapter spends 10,000 years fighting in places Imperial historians rarely travel, unanswered questions tend to accumulate. Eventually, those questions lead to another one. If the Imperium keeps the Carcharodons so far from its own borders, what exactly does it expect us to encounter out there?
That question becomes even more unsettling when you consider the warrior who leads our chapter. Tyberos the Red Wake has never been an ordinary commander. Even among the Adeptus Astartes, his reputation carries a certain weight. Because Tyberos does not lead his warriors from distant strategy chambers, he hunts alongside them. During conflicts along the Maelstrom and the wars surrounding the Badab sector, survivors describe seeing him move through boarding corridors like a force of nature, cutting through entire squads before their alarms had even finished sounding. Entire pirate kingdoms have collapsed after encountering his fleets, while Xenos empires that once threatened the frontier now exist only as drifting debris fields scattered across forgotten systems. Tyberos was already one of the most dangerous warriors the Imperium possessed. Then the Imperium decided he needed to become stronger. Recently, he crossed the Rubicon Primaris, undergoing the dangerous transformation that converts a traditional space marine into a Primaris warrior. Many Astartes who attempt the procedure never survive it. Tyberos did. He emerged larger, faster, and more powerful than before. To most chapters, that would simply be considered an improvement. Among the Carcharodons, however, it felt more like preparation. Because Primaris is not simply stronger flesh, it is a redesign. And when the Imperium begins redesigning its oldest predators, it usually means something in the darkness has begun to move. To understand what that might be, you must return to the region where the Carcharodons spend most of their existence. The Outer Dark is not merely the frontier of Imperial territory. It is a vast expanse where the Imperium's understanding of the galaxy becomes increasingly uncertain. Ancient structures drift between stars that no longer burn, warp anomalies appear and vanish without explanation, and entire civilizations rise and fall without ever being recorded by Imperial historians. This is the environment our fleets patrol. We move through these regions constantly, hunting threats long before they can reach Imperial space. Officially, our duty is simple: patrol the frontier and eliminate emerging dangers before they grow large enough to threaten humanity. Within the fleet, however, another explanation circulates. According to these whispers, the Carcharodons are sometimes deployed when problems arise that the Imperium cannot publicly acknowledge. These might include failed experiments, lost expeditions, or discoveries that challenge the stability of Imperial doctrine itself. In those situations, our role is not investigation, it is removal. Entire campaigns disappear from Imperial archives, planets are recorded as destroyed by natural disasters, and exploration fleets vanish without explanation. No official record confirms these actions, but those who have hunted long enough in the outer dark eventually learn something important. Some threats cannot simply be defeated. They must be erased so completely that no one remembers they ever existed.
I have already spoken far more openly than most Carcharodons would consider wise. Much of what I have described exists only as rumor among the warriors of our fleet. Stories exchanged during long patrols when the void outside the hull stretches endlessly in every direction. But rumors that survive for 10,000 years rarely exist without reason. The Carcharodons have hunted in the outer dark since before many Imperial institutions even existed. We have fought enemies humanity will never know about, and destroyed threats the Imperium cannot openly acknowledge. Now, our chapter master walks the galaxy as a Primaris warrior. Tyberos the Red Wake has been made stronger than he has ever been. To most citizens of the Imperium, that sounds like good news. To those who understand where the Carcharodons operate, it sounds like preparation. Preparation for something that has not yet reached Imperial space. If this transmission reaches you, archive it and share it before it disappears. Because if the wrong officials discover this recording, it will be erased, just like the things we destroy in the dark. And when the sharks come for your world, pray they arrived before the thing we were hunting.